Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. In today's video we'll be covering my Game Week 1 team selection. We'll also look through some potential transfers that I may be making ahead of the deadline. Any last minute kind of stuff, I will let you know all my transfers. If you do enjoy today's video, then be sure to like, comment and subscribe to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. But without further ado, let's get into my team selection. And start off our Game 1 team selection. We have gone for David Raya in goal, who is, in my personal opinion, the best 4.5 million goalkeeper that you can go for. Last season, played 24 games, collecting 95 points and earning himself an impressive 8 clean sheets for a newly promoted Brentford side. Brentford as well have amazing long-term fixtures. In Game Week 1, they do take on Leicester away. I don't know why it's a red fixture. Obviously, Leicester weren't amazing last year. It was a surprising finish when they came 8th. Obviously, a lot of their campaign kind of depended on the Europa Conference League and it just didn't really go to plan, and they've not really signed, actually they haven't signed anybody, so I don't understand why it's a red fixture from FPL. I think Brentford will have another amazing year, as they always do, always overachieving, and that is why David Raya is my 4.5 million goalkeeper. I also think Sanchez is an amazing option, but Game Week 1 Manchester United, I want to get the best start, and that is why I have gone for Raya. Both teams have excellent as well underlying defensive data from last season, so whichever way you go here, I think you're going to win over the course of the season. But moving into the back line, we start with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I mentioned in my final draft video that obviously everyone's got to have Trent, and I'm sticking with that point. Everyone has to have Trent in their Game Week 1 teams. He's a wonderful asset to own. Last season, 2 goals and 12 assists, making him the highest scoring defender in FPL last year. Had an amazing performance in the Community Shield as well, scoring a goal, and it was a wonderful strike that he scored, wasn't it indeed? And if he can take that form into the season, then we're all going to be laughing with Trent within our team. Obviously, we're going for the Liverpool double up, as you can see, as we move on to our next player in the team. It is Andy Robertson. Now, Andy Robertson, this is the first time he has come into my thought process, my drafts, all this, and it's pretty much down to the Community Shield performance. I've had Diaz in for a long time. I've been singing his praises, but I've just taken a look today, a really long, hard look at Diaz's overall kind of pre-season performance, and I just don't think he's quite there. I don't think he's got that clinical edge. I don't think he's got that explosivity within his game to justify taking up a Liverpool spot when we have one of like the best alternative defenders in Andy Robertson available from Liverpool. Last year was absolutely amazing. 3rd highest scoring defender, and he played 29 games, getting 3 goals and 11 assists. And from Game Week 19 onwards, no defenders scored more points than Andy Robertson. Fulham as well, looking a little bit of turmoil if you read into what Marco Silva said today, potentially about the fact that they need a few more additions if they want to be competitive this year. So he's kind of tipping them already for potentially early relegation, and I can see Liverpool getting an absolute whitewash in Game Week 1. Fulham away, you expect Liverpool to keep a clean sheet, so hopefully there is a nice easy 12 points. If one of them can pick up an attacking return as well, that would be even better for my team. Moving on to our 3rd defender within the side, it is Ivan Perisic. Obviously making a late comeback into a lot of people's team. He was in it from the early part and the launch of FPL this year for me. He was obviously a fantastic asset. We know what Conte wingbacks are like, what he was like in Serie A as well last season, getting 8 goals and 6 assists from a very similar position that he's going to be playing this year. But then it was kind of the pre-season minutes. He wasn't playing games. There was talk of him potentially being injured. I'm still not 100% convinced on this one. He is very much like a last minute. He may come out of my team depending on Conte's comments, but he did play back-to-back preseason games for Spurs, and against Roma he played 75 minutes, was trending on like Twitter at one point with how good his performances were. Spurs fans were waxing lyrically about how good he was in that game. So hopefully he can take that form from the Roma game into the game against Southampton. They've also had a very, very miserable pre-season, only winning one of their games. It was against Monaco and it was a 3-0 win. Other than that, it's been very disappointing. Southampton have looked very leaky as well. Spurs at home, game week 1, we expect a clean sheet, similar to Robertson and Trent. If we can get an attacking return, even better for our start. Finally, moving on to the last defender within our side, it is João Cancelo, a wonderful, wonderful player, and with City potentially looking out of the Cucurella race, who knows what's going to happen with that. It's all over the shop at the moment. Barcelona might even come in now that Chelsea are interested. But yeah, it's looking like Cancelo is going to be nailed for the first few game weeks. At least last season, 201 points, 1 goal, 11 assists. He had the most shots among defenders as well, with 81 in the league last year. West Ham away, obviously West Ham a little bit of a bogey team for City last year with that 2-2 draw, putting in very impressive performances, did the Hammers, against Manchester City. So I am a little bit sceptical about whether or not Cancelo can keep the clean sheet. Obviously off the back of the Community Shield performance as well, he didn't look impressive, nor did anyone kind of from City. You could tell that they'd potentially played less games than Liverpool. Hopefully that doesn't seep into the season, the start of the season. Hopefully City can just kick on and our assets can start to get points. But with the amazing fixtures that City do have, I do think a City defender is a must within your team. West Ham, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Tottenham and Wolves, all amazing fixtures. And with João Cancelo as well, you're getting that potential of his attacking returns. With all these defenders, you're getting your attacking returns. Let me know what you think of the back line. I am very, very happy with it at the current moment. Perisic is probably the only one who may make way depending on Conte's comments, but the best way to keep up with all that information is to follow me on Twitter at FPLTom_. But let's move on to the midfield within our side. And to start off our midfield, we have gone for Leon Bailey. Now, the reason I've gone for Leon Bailey over Pedro Neto is, number one, I couldn't afford Pedro Neto within this side. I do think Pedro Neto is a wonderful, fantastic option, but I've gone for Bailey. I was umming and ahhing in my last draft video, which player to go for, Bailey or Neto. I've gone for Neto, 3 goals in pre-season. He's been absolutely killing it for Gerrard's Villa side in pre-season. I do believe he will start the first game of the season for Aston Villa, and that is why I've gone for him over Neto, is this first fixture against Bournemouth. Scott Parker, I don't know how true this is, but I just saw it trending kind of like within the Twitter space amongst the FPL community, was the fact that he said that Bournemouth basically had 1 or 2 defensive players fit for the first game or the first few weeks, and they're going to need additions if they are, like, very similar to Fulham, going to be competitive this year. That is absolutely like green ticks in my mind. Just absolutely get a Villa player within your team, because they potentially could be easy pickings come game week 1. Leon Bailey has been one of the better players within Villa's pre-season as well, and at 5 million he could be an absolute steal. Very impressed with him, but I do think if you want to go for Pedro Neto, I haven't really got anything to say against that. I think Bailey or Pedro Neto, that's going to be a big split amongst the top FPL managers. Who's going to get the points? I do believe with that potential news about Bournemouth and their injury and kind of limit numbers at the back, that could make a lot more people swing towards Leon Bailey. I think he's a great asset at 5 million. Obviously, we're only wanting him for the first 3 fixtures. After that, it does kind of tumble away with West Ham, Arsenal, Manchester City, and Leicester. Obviously, the Leicester game, meh. We've said that before, but everyone else in there is definitely not what we want Leon Bailey for. But at that point, there will be other options to explore within the game. But I do like Leon Bailey as my cheap enabler. Next to him, we have got my captain for game week 1. It is Mohamed Salah, a goal plus an assist in the Community Shield on penalties as well. Like we said with Trent and Robertson, it does look like Fulham are a little bit depleted in terms of numbers and in terms of quality if they are going to stay within the Premier League. They definitely could be this year's whipping boys within FPL, and why would you not go for one of the best scoring players within FPL history for your game week 1 captain? That's why we've gone for Salah. Obviously, it's just mad impressive. I think there was a comment from Virgil van Dijk as well coming out saying that because the contract situation has been sorted, he's noticed a difference in Salah's mentality in terms of like he's at peace of mind. I think personally it's probably to do with the stress and the pressure that he was under with AFCON and kind of the World Cup qualifier missing out again to Senegal. I think that would have played like massively on his mind. So I think he's going to come into this season fresh off the back of an amazing Community Shield performance, and I think he's absolutely going to rip the league up. I think it could easily be 5-0 Liverpool against Fulham as well, with the comments that Marco Silva's making, and Salah definitely could haul in game week 1. That is why he is my captain. Moving on to the next player within our midfield, it is Gabriel Martinelli. Now, he is another one who potentially could make way within this side. Yeah, apparently Emile Smith-Rowe was back in training today. I haven't done any research on this, but I still believe Martinelli will probably play the first 1 to 3 game weeks. Just the fact that Emile Smith-Rowe has only played 1 preseason game, and that was the first one against Nuremberg, and just the fact that he's only just coming back into training, I think that does make Martinelli less appetizing in terms of a long-term asset. But I think it is his spot to lose at the moment. He had a wonderful performance against Sevilla with 2 assists. It kind of seems like that Arsenal kind of front 4 is a little bit untouchable at the moment. Jesus, Martinelli, Saka and Odegaard. I think the players are like on the fringes of the team, have got to do a lot when they do come on to impress Arteta, because for me that front 4 is probably nailed for the first few game weeks, until obviously cup competitions, European competitions come in after that. So I do believe then there'll start to be a little bit more of a rotation. But I like Martinelli kind of for that 3-week game stretch, because it gives me a chance to potentially look at United assets, see how they've settled under life with Ten Hag. But yeah, Martinelli, another one I'm not 100% convinced on, could come out of the team, but I do believe he is probably nailed for game week 1. Crystal Palace as well. Something to mention with them is the fact that they had a split pre-season tour. Half the squad was in England, half of it went round the world with Vieira. That, I think, is going to play a massive impact on Crystal Palace start to the season. If you have your squad kind of split over 2 continents, like, it's just not going to do well for cohesion. I know they've not signed a lot of players, so it's a similar, very much similar group to last year, but still that kind of cohesion, getting everyone together again, is going to be lost a little bit, especially with half the team in one country, half the team in another. So I do believe that they'll struggle in the first few game weeks. And moving on to the final midfielder within our side is Mason Mount. Now, Mason Mount was in my very first game week 1 draft all the way back a few weeks ago when the game was launched. I absolutely love Mason Mount. Think he's a fantastic player, and I do believe he'll be a fantastic FPL asset this year. 11 goals, 11 assists for him last season. His best ever returns in terms of goals plus assists in his professional career. Also scored against Everton the last time the 2 sides met. He's on set pieces. He's got good long-term fixtures as well. I really like Mason Mount. I took Reece James out because I'm just not quite convinced what the Chelsea defence situation is going to be. You know, it looks like they're signing Cucurella, Wesley Fofana. Like, there's a lot of players kind of chopping and changing. I don't know who's going to play where. Is Reece James going to play right centre-back, right wing-back? I'm just not 100% sure, but I do want a Chelsea player to attack these fixtures. And with Diaz not looking it as my £8 million midfielder, I've gone for Mason Mount. He's had a very good pre-season, looked one of the sharpest Chelsea players out there. So I'm very happy to have him in my side. Obviously, like we said, that £8 million price point is golden. You can drop them down, and there's some wonderful assets like Sancho, Harvey Barnes. You can up them, and you've got your likes of Jarrod Bowen, or you could just keep them at 8. There's obviously Saka, who I could switch out for game week 1, or Kulusevski. Lots of potential options within that £8 million price range. But with that in mind, let's move on to the attackers for my game week 1 team selection. And to start off our attacking lineup, we go for Harry Kane. A lot of people are going Harry Kane, Haaland at the moment. I'm still a little bit unsure which way to go for. I've had Haaland in pretty much all my drafts apart from my final one and this team selection video, and it's still up for debate. Harry Kane has had an amazing preseason, 5 goals, in 4 games for pre-season. Obviously coming off the back of another wonderful season for Harry Kane. I think he'll do absolutely exceptionally well again this year under Conte. He's loving life back at Spurs and absolutely slamming in the goals plus the assists. Obviously, the big decision for me around Haaland and Kane was the fact that I just felt like Haaland's going to need 1 or 2 game weeks just to settle in and just to find his feet. Whereas Harry Kane, we know what he's about. He's a nailed-on Spurs player. He knows where the back of the net is. He absolutely loves scoring goals within the Premier League as well. But on the caveat, Haaland does have the better of the long-term fixtures, and in terms of premiums, you want to be looking at kind of their captaincy rotation, and I do believe Haaland has better captaincy rotation with Salah over Kane and Salah. And do I really want to be booking in a kind of transfer week 1? I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to wait and see what Conte and Pep say about kind of fitness and see if Haaland's fit, see if Kane's fit, kind of see what sort of comments those guys make, because that usually gives you a good indicator of kind of where people's heads are at. I do like both options and I'm still a little bit undecided, so let me know down in the comments below which way you kind of swing in, Harry Kane or Haaland. I'm still not sure, but at the moment I'm going Harry Kane. Got a wonderful record against Southampton as well. 18 games, 11 goals, 8 assists, but I'm not going to captain him, so does that really make a difference? I don't know. Still a little bit unsure, but we are going for Kane at the present moment, but that could very much well change come Friday afternoon. Moving on to our final player, and it is Gabriel Jesus, the most owned player within FPL this afternoon, hitting over 70%, and there is no surprise why he's done that. Arsenal have amazing fixtures to start the season, and he's been absolutely banging in the goals in pre-season. 7 goals in 5 games for him, a hat-trick at the weekend against Sevilla as well, and looks to be loving life at Arsenal. And at 8 million, that's just a bargain price to be getting a forward who's not really got too much of a competition. Obviously, they've got Nketiah, but I think it is going to be Gabriel Jesus who's going to play the majority of the games. Obviously, a top 6 side, going to be pushing for Champions League football this season, and Gabriel Jesus could definitely fire them there. Obviously, wonderful fixtures for Gabriel Jesus, and I could definitely see him bagging on the opening day of the season. Let me know what you think of this team. I am very, very happy with it at the present moment, but as always, circumstances do change and I may change up the team. But before we go, let's quickly run through the bench. I've got Olsen at the moment, but before I started recording, I read a quick article about apparently Brendan Rodgers is giving Danny Ward and their other goalkeeper kind of like, this is your chance to kind of step up to the mark, which is very interesting because we may have just found our 4 million goalkeeper for the season. If Danny Ward's a regular though as well at 4 million, we potentially could drop our goalkeeper down from Raya to a Danny Ward and kind of use that extra money, that extra 0.5 million within our team. Still not 100% sure, but we will have to kind of see how that one plays out. But Danny Ward, a very interesting option at 4 million. Defensively, we've gone for Williams. He's going to be in everyone's team. Regular player playing at 4 million as well. Very, very good. Same with Andreas Pereira. Played every pre-season game, I think, since he joined Fulham. Looked very good in them as well. Obviously, he's just going to be our 4.5 budget enabler on the bench. And finally, the forward. I've gone for Plange, but you know, I think you could go for any 4.5 million forward and you wouldn't kind of be discouraged. Sorry. I think Archer as well is another fantastic option to go for. But that is my game week 1 team. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments. Let me know how I'm going to get on. I want to see your teams as well. If you need any help with your team selection, leave it down in the comments below. Message me on Twitter. I've had a few people do that and I'm happy to reply and help you out with the game week 1 deadline and your team selection. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.